The fact is that over the last few weeks, several hundreds of students have been writing in to us to tell us please postpone the examinations for the NEET and the JEE, for the IITs and medical colleges that are scheduled for next week. Now this campaign that we kicked off a few weeks ago has gathered momentum. Across the country, students are coming out and speaking out. Around 16 lakh students, remember, registered for NEET this year, close to 9.3 for JEE. The exams were scheduled originally in April, May this year. The COVID pandemic put a spanner in the works. The students and parents approached the courts asking for the exams to be postponed. The apex court asked the government to conduct it in September. But the agitation continues, and now more and more political parties are also joining in. A day-long hunger strike on Monday by the students has now emerged into a virtual campaign. It's our big story today. Has the time come for the Narendra Modi government to listen to our students? That's what we are going to do here tonight on India Today. Hear the voices of our students. It's our top story tonight.
There's a growing clamour for postponement of NEET and JEE examinations scheduled for the first week of September. There's literally a campaign across social media by the students and their kin asking for a further postponement of the competitive exams, citing reasons like mounting caseload, unavailability of transportation facilities, and poor implementation of SOPs on the ground level.
And the government wishes to send us, the students, to give exams in such a horrendous situation. I feel this is a breach to my fundamental right to live. Must be postponed to a time when the cases reduce, normalcy is restored, and the environment is conducive.
Does this SOP guarantee that every student out of the 25 lakh is safe? Because if it doesn't, it does violate the right to life. Think about the mental pressure on a person who has been diagnosed with COVID-19. If you are talking about mental pressure of this exam determines their future too. How will they in this state write an exam for 3 hours, travel to the center? It'll take a huge toll and stress on the system.
On 17th August, the Supreme Court of India dismissed a plea seeking the postponement of JEE Main and NEET 2020 entrance examinations scheduled to be held in September, leaving lakhs of students over the country anxious. Dismissing a petition by 11 students from 11 states to defer the exams, the Supreme Court said the careers of students cannot be put under jeopardy. After being postponed twice, JEE Main, held as engineering entrance as well as a screening test for JEE Advanced IIT entrance, will now be conducted between 1st to 6th of September 2020. And NEET, which is held for admissions to undergraduate courses in medical and allied subjects, earlier planned for May, is scheduled for 13th September now. But the students are unhappy. Students across the country have expressed their displeasure at what they see as a decision being thrust down without taking into account the practical concerns.
बार-बार पोस्टपोन होने करके पूरा फोकस खराब हो जाता है ते जे एक बारी जेड़े फाइनल डेट दे दें तो वधिया होगा।
क्या कोई भी बच्चे कोविड हो जाता है, उसके घर में जाता है, उसके गार्जियन इन्फेक्टेड हो जाए, किसी की डेथ हो जाएगी, उसका रिस्पॉन्सिबल कौन है? प्लस और बहुत सारे स्टेट में ट्रैवलिंग नहीं हो रही, ट्रांसपोर्ट सिस्टम नहीं, बच्चे कैसे सेंटर तक पहुंचेंगे? इसका जवाब गवर्नमेंट के पास है।
I just want to tell to the government of India that we students are not afraid of the examination itself. Because last time only I qualified for NIT as well. And we are all prepared for the examination. But we are not prepared to face this pandemic situation. COVID-19 is a deadly virus, especially for me when I'm suffering from asthma. So I request the government of India to please postpone the examination and save the lives of lakhs of students.
Young environmental activist Greta Thunberg has also tweeted and said that it's deeply unfair that students are asked to sit for exams amid a pandemic.
I want to go to Sonu Sood. Sonu Sood, remember, is a celebrity actor who has taken up this issue. Sonu, the fact is you have called for the postponement of these exams. I want to understand, as someone who in a sense has taken up the cause of migrants, now you're taking up the cause of the students. You've waded into this controversy. Why do you think the exam should be postponed?
So we have to believe that we are living in a time of pandemic when everything is on hold. Whether you talk about our business, whether you talk about our movie shootings, whether you talk about anything. Now, when you talk about these students, and I'm talking about 26 lakh students in our country who are, I would say, the maximum number of students who come from Bihar. We have people who are stuck because of floods. We have floods in Bihar, we have floods in Assam, we have floods in Gujarat. And imagine all these students coming for these exams, how they're going to reach first. Second, they don't have any means to study. Everything is in a chaos. And with these rising cases of COVID, I don't think so they are in a state of mind, or they can come and they can take these exams.
But the fact is, Sonu Sood, the problem is if these exams don't take place now, there is a strong possibility that the students will end up losing an entire year. Are you telling me this entire year of 2021 will go in waste as a result?
So I would say not postponing for a year or 8 months. If we can postpone for 2 months, let's say the exams are happening sometime in November or something, so at least they get a 2 month window. They come out of those floods. They come out of these issues of imagine, sir, if all these students are going now for the exams, their parents are traveling. All these, where the social distancing is going to happen in, with all these parents sitting outside, rising number of COVID cases, they can't travel. There's no. We are again entering another lockdown. States are shut. They don't have any public transport to travel. They don't have money to travel in those private cars. How are they going to reach the venue? I think that's a big challenge for all of us. And when we have postponed these exams twice, why can't we postpone for another 2 months and give them a window? Okay, these exams are happening in November. Get ready, and we will take your exams.
But the fact is, Sonu Sood, COVID cases continue to rise. Even if the exams are shifted, let's say, to November, how do we know that things will get better by November? What if things get worse? The point is, can now the government of India postpone exams because the situation is uncertain even 2-3 months down the line? What if it gets worse?
So totally agree. I totally agree with you. But like again, we said it's COVID, it's floods, it's the times that we are living in. Again, the lockdown is happening. So we know that when the COVID started in March, we were not ready. We just thought that if we shut the whole nation for a day, we are going to break that chain, and again we are going to come back. But slowly we got equipped. We got planned. We are now somehow living with the pandemic. But now I feel when you get a window of another 2 months, I'm sure these people will be better prepared. They'll know that, okay, these exams are happening sometime in November. Okay, we can plan accordingly. But everyone knows that the situation which is in Assam, Bihar, Gujarat, and all these 14 to 15 districts of Bihar are totally flooded. So you can't expect those students to come and come for those exams. So I feel that it's time to at least have the debate, sit across. Everyone knows that it's not possible. It's just an extra step that we need to take it and give them that window.
Sonu Sood, you've joined us and given us your perspective. You believe that the exam should be postponed at least for a couple of months till November. Thank you so much for joining us. Let me go from there to my next guest. I'm now joined by the IIT director in Mumbai, Professor Subhash Chaudhary is joining me. I appreciate your joining us, sir, at this time when there is growing pressure on the IITs to at least consider the possibility of some kind of postponement. Professor, you tell us, as more and more of these students who are attempting JEE and NEET are saying either because of COVID or because some parts of the country like Bihar are completely flooded out, they want the exams postponed. Do you believe, sir, these students have a case? Given, as I said, that the exams are taking place in unprecedented COVID pandemic times, do they have a case for postponing the exams? Why is the government adamant?
I think let me twist the question to some slightly differently. So the question is, what do you want at the end? So this pandemic situation, do we know when does it end? Okay, if we know that it will end in another 1 month or 5 months, so there is something you can plan that, okay, let's wait and see. But supposing there is no such kind of a situation that we are aware of that it's going to end, then how long would you wait? I think that's my question. And this is something I think all our students, all our their parents and all, they should realize that you're talking about students, for an entire batch of students who are looking to go somewhere else from, let's say, 12th standard or wherever they are to the next level. There has to be a proper process. And this requires a clear thinking. I can tell you that, this is, you feel it's unique for this year that this is happening? No. Go back to something like 1967, 70, 71, Calcutta. What was that? There was a large-scale Naxalite movement. What happened to the education? It got badly, damaged in terms of it's wasted a lot of, years for many people those days. Exams were deferred. Go back further, 1918, 1919. Now, you know what I'm talking about. The Spanish flu or the Bombay flu. It killed almost like 10 to, 15 million people in India. Then I was looking at what happened those days in the university. The case was much more serious than what we have today. Okay. And I just looked at it. That time, Calcutta University has the corresponding, the Vice Chancellor was Sir Ashutosh Mukhopadhyay. He had regular Senate meetings, exams, and he even traveled during time to have the convocation of University of Mysore. So if you look at that point of view, even those days, life must go on. So you have to decide, we must take proper precaution and see that how to mitigate the situation.
What if you were to shift the exam from September to January, push the entire term forward? 2020 in that sense, sir, becomes a zero exam year. Would that be an unreasonable solution? Why this adamancy that the exam must be held in September? You push it by a couple of months. Is that not a reasonable solution?
Okay, so let's go back again. Let's say by the time in March, let's say to 2020, in IITs ourselves here, okay. Initially, it was 3 weeks lockdown, right? If you remember. And we actually shut down. We said, okay, let's prepone our summer vacation. We had a 2 months holiday for our students. And what happened? Were you able to get back to normal life? So the one you were saying makes sense if we know, that's what I'm saying, that by December it will be over. Okay. What would you do if it doesn't get over? So that's my question to you. Can you give an answer to that one, that yes, by December it will be over? So, right now you look at various, just one point, let me add that, there are many universities in India, even including some of the IITs and many of the CFTIs, they could not finish their end semester and other exams. The students are still being held up and hoping, and we all hope that by 3 weeks or 4 weeks of lockdown, this pandemic could be over. And it's not going up anywhere. So that's what my point.
Okay, let me again once more try for the students. My producer is having a difficulty connecting with some of them. Richa Saxena, can you hear me?
Good evening, sir.
Yes.
Sir, regarding this postponement of NEET and JEE exam, I would like to put two concerns forward. Firstly, that giving the paper for 3 hours continuously, and that too, and that would be like very suffocating and very challenging for every student, because we have to perform 180 questions in 180 minutes. Secondly, on a personal note, my father is a severe asthmatic patient.
But that's a personal problem. Can that be the reason for postponement of the exam?
Then his health could be at danger. And in fact, I could even put his health at risk even after completing my exam and returning home.
This has now become a political issue. Remember, political parties are taking positions on this issue. The opposition parties are calling for the exams to be postponed. They are joining hands, whether it's Rahul Gandhi, Mamata Banerjee, Aditya Thackeray, they are calling for the postponement. The government is sticking to its view. The exam should be held next week. Let's listen in to the political views for a moment.
It's building up to be the Narendra Modi government's biggest challenge since the lockdown. The National Testing Agency is firm. It will conduct the joint entrance examination and the National Eligibility-cum-Entrance Test for engineering and medical admissions in September. But the students are resisting. Social media platforms are abuzz with hashtags demanding postponement of JEE and NEET till the coronavirus pandemic is in control. While the government is yet to budge, students are getting big support. From Rahul Gandhi, who demanded a reasonable solution, to Subramanian Swamy, who drew parallels with Indira's emergency and compared the move to draconian child control campaign. Political leaders from all spectrums have rallied behind the students. West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee, Maharashtra Minister Aditya Thackeray and Odisha Chief Minister Naveen Patnaik have written to Prime Minister Modi demanding the exams be postponed. The Aam Aadmi Party government in Delhi has gone one step ahead and suggested the test be cancelled altogether.
सरकार का और सुप्रीम कोर्ट का हम सबका ये सब कंसर्न है कि बच्चों का स्वास्थ्य पे भी गलत असर नहीं पड़ना चाहिए सिर्फ एक एग्जाम की वजह से.
The students' protests have gained international attention as well. Climate change activist Greta Thunberg called the government's decision to hold exams during COVID pandemic deeply unfair. The National Testing Agency is sticking to its guns. It says there is absolutely no justification in the prayer made for the postponement of the examinations related to NEET and JEE.
The government, instead of bringing out solutions to conduct the NEET and the JEE examinations, has been asking students to give the exams amidst the coronavirus pandemic. And it's not just the pandemic that the students are worried about. Many states are flood ravaged. Some do not have adequate transport facilities. And did you know that postponement of JEE and NEET exams have been trending on the social media website Twitter for over 2 weeks and has been the top trend? Clearly, the students are not backing out, but the government has said that they will go ahead with the exams in September. With Shakil Ahmed, Milan Sharma for India Today.
Okay, let's go to more guests now. I'm joined by Saurabh Kumar, Director Academics at Vidya Mandir Classes. They handle a number of the coaching classes for IIT JEE students. Also, Dr. Sudhanshu Trivedi, BJP's MP, is joining us. I want to come to you first, Dr. Trivedi. Every opposition state government is calling for the exams to be postponed. Why is the BJP government adamant that the exams must take place? Surely you can maybe look for another alternative solution. Sudhanshu ji, can you hear me? Now we can't hear you, sir. It's a bit of a problem that we're having with all our guests. Saurabh Kumar, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Saurabh, you tell us then, why do you believe that the examinations, where do you stand? Do you believe they should be postponed or not?
Before I go to whether I believe it should be postponed or not, there are two more problems related to it. One problem is this, that private colleges have started taking admission on the basis of class 12th boards, and they are very good colleges like VIT, SRM, Thapar, and multiple other colleges, right? So if the government is allowing them to take the admissions, then what about the second line of students who don't qualify JEE and who are taking these colleges at the second chance to get the admission? Second thing is that there is a policy issue. The policy issue says that an engineering aspirant can give examination only twice in his life, one when he is in class 12th and one the very next year. So if we cancel the exam this year, the policy also has to change, right? So these two questions has to be first answered before we go ahead for whether we are going to postpone it or not. So obviously there is challenge in certain states.
So you're saying that you're saying that private colleges have already started the admission process, and therefore the fact is that other students would lose out a year. Sudhanshu Trivedi, if you can hear me now, why is the BJP government adamant, the Modi government adamant exam must go on next week? There's floods in Bihar, in UP, in Gujarat. People are saying, students are saying they'll have to travel 100 kilometers and more to reach the place. That must go on next week. There's floods in Bihar, in UP, in Gujarat. People are saying, students are saying they'll have to travel 100 kilometers and more to reach the place.
Rajdeep, are you getting my voice?
Yes, I am.
Rajdeep, are you getting my voice?
Sir, if you can switch off your TV, it will help us.
First, I would like to correct you that it is not the adamancy of the government. Even the Supreme Court has also given a directive that the examination should be conducted. And the matter is sensitive with all due concern about the security and health safety of the student. One thing I would like to add, those students who are aspiring to come are all from science background. And in scientific language, I would like to say, anything which you are demanding, you are saying postponement, then it must have discrete numeric quantification. How long? 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, even can be more than 1 year. And second thing, if somebody is saying that there is a problem, of course, if the doctors are working in the most hazardous condition, then those aspiring doctors should also think of. If the engineers are working, the automobile sector is working, and on the border the road construction is going on, then the aspiring engineer should also think over that. So it's not the question that I'm also asking, Rajdeep, your cameramen are working or not? So everybody is doing and started living up with this. And second thing, if the session becomes zero, what happens? The thousands of students who would have got the opportunity, they will be left with no other opportunity. And next year, all other will be another aspirants. So it will have two cumulative years, or furthermore third cumulative years of effect. So I think their demand can be that the proper corrective preventive measures should be taken, for which the government and authorities should have to and will have all the requirements done. But as far as getting everything zero is concerned, again, people are traveling in the aeroplane or not. If you are saying that in the Vande Bharat, those pilots and the staff which was going to take those people, are they not putting their life in danger? And they are the young people. Young people used to come up and bring the major changes in the life. As far as certain areas are concerned, you are saying yes. In Bihar,
So you make an important point, that you're saying you have to be very clear how many months, if there is to be a postponement, it cannot be indefinite. Supriya Srinath joins us because the Congress has taken the line that the exam should be postponed. Supriya Srinath, you tell us, I mean, students will end up losing a full year if the exams are postponed indefinitely. So there has to be a time where the government and the colleges have to say, well, we've got to conduct the exam and you've got to trust them. Who is to say 3 months from now, the COVID situation will be any better than it is today?
So Rajdeep, if I were to go with your logic, and about 20 to 25 lakh students appear for these two exams combined, and if our test positivity rate is at about 8 to 10%, there will be asymptomatic cases of 2.5 lakhs. Are we willing to expose our students to this? Do we have the necessary infrastructure? Let me just give you one example. In Bihar, there are 7 JEE centers. In UP, there are 17, which will involve a massive movement of students and their parents, inter-state and inter-district. Can we avoid this exposure? I think we should, because this is also the lives of our students. Do we have the necessary infrastructure for social distancing? I mean, we shut down schools and colleges when infections were very low. We now want to expose our students to this. And I just want to, on a positive note, make a suggestion to the government and to everybody concerned, all stakeholders. There is a minimum 60-day gap between from the time when exams are held to when the session begins. Everybody knows that sessions will only begin between December last to January. Why can we not wait? Let us wait and see if our positivity rate drops, if our infection rate gets under control. I mean, at positivity rate like that, do we want to expose our students to this? Do we want this kind of a movement to happen? I don't think we have the necessary infrastructure.
Okay, so
there are very few centers. People will have to travel. We've got to take into consideration there is flood in Bihar. We cannot negate these realities.
Can I for a moment just stop you all to try and get some more student voices that we've... Ashwin Malik is one of them. Ashwin, where do you stand on this issue as you hear the politicians? There are two clear views emerging on postponement of exams.
Sir, I don't feel that the virus is going anywhere right now. All the leading doctors and epidemiologists are saying that in November and December, there may be even more cases than they are right now. So if we postpone it further, then there will be no further room for postponement in December, and then it will be considered a 0 year. And that will be a major loss to the entire nation. Hundreds,
so you
100,000 doctors, sir, will not.
So you think that
be
the
in
exam should go
that
ahead?
work.
The exam should go ahead now next month. You have to take your
Yes, sir.
chances.
Yes, sir, definitely. So my parents are doctors and they go to work every day, and there is no guarantee that I will not be exposed to the virus. But that doesn't mean that they have stopped going to work or treating their patients. We are preparing for an exam wherein we have to become a doctor, and if we are not willing to take the risk, then if say in future there is another pandemic, then will we refuse to see patients at that time too?
Can I get you? So that is one view. Supriya Srinath, there are two clear views emerging. There are some who believe, and particularly many of them are in the metros. Those in the smaller towns are the ones who seem more worried because they have to travel longer distances. That's the concern at the moment that people have. So there seems to be a small town versus metro divide here. Do you recognize that, Supriya Srinath, that this is not as if every student wants the exam postponed?
Oh, I absolutely recognize that. I mean, I've been getting calls from people in my constituency and they believe it will be very tough for some of them to travel because there are no centers, so to say, there. And which is why I think one of the things that will have to be taken into consideration is that there is no public transport that is viable right now. These people will have to take private vehicles. Let us then look at infrastructure. Let us then give ourselves some time, look at infrastructure, let us prepare. Because also remember, Rajdeep, unlike the metros, the smaller towns, when these children go back, when their parents who accompany them go back, they also expose the elderly at home and the community at large to more infections. So we've got to be cognizant of the fact that we are knowingly letting people get into an infection zone, get out and go and spread further infection. Which is why I'm saying we need to prepare ourselves further. And the preparation also has to happen not just at the exam level, but also at the curriculum level. You know, tomorrow if the session begins in January or February or March, the universities, the colleges will have to recognize that the curriculum needs to be reworked, it needs to be crunched, something needs to be done there, and stakeholders will have to come on board for that, and that's a positive suggestion.
You want to quickly respond to that, Sudhanshu, before I go to the next student? Go ahead, Sudhanshu.
Okay. On the curriculum level, I would like to say with due humility, I'm not, because I myself was an engineering student, in all professional courses, engineering or medical, there is a limit of this squeezing. The limit has crossed. If you have not conducted this exam this time, you cannot convert 2 semester courses into 2 months because number of practicals and other things are there which cannot be taught. Though it can be possible in certain cases of science and humanities, but in engineering and medical it's almost impossible. So whatever Supriya ji is saying, it's correct. But there is no guarantee that after 3 months the situation will be better. As Director IIT Bombay was saying, that they have preponed the summer vacations and the situation become more worse after that. So my submission is that we have to think of that how we deal with the challenge.
No, that is fair enough. That, you know, the fact is that the future in this country at the moment is uncertain because of COVID. We already have students, many of them junior doctors, who have not been even able to go back to their colleges because of travel restrictions that have existed for several months. So the situation is unprecedented, but extraordinary times call for extraordinary measures is what is being suggested. I want to go back to the IIT professor because, sir, you are saying you've got to live with the problem. I just want to understand, Professor Chaudhary, at Mumbai IIT, when you say that you have to live with the problem is one thing. Can there be any guarantee, though, of a risk-free environment for students? Many of the students, as I said, are worried that they will travel long distances, the disease will spread. Are you saying that you can give them a risk-free environment where they actually feel confident of doing the exams?
Absolutely. That's my point. See, let's say at IIT Bombay, when I cross my road here, that's probably the toughest thing we do because the traffic is so bad. Anytime I could get killed just to cross the road. But do I not do it? So what we need to do, we have to be very careful to plan the exams so that, you know, the students are safe. We must provide as much safety as possible. But again, it's a human life. Nobody can give you a guarantee because, you know, no matter how much you do, it's a virus and it flows, there's even aerosol and there are so many things. So if somebody is really very scared, you can actually defer, like a year or something. But, you know, those who want to take a chance, let them go ahead and do it. Okay. Because finally, you know, the issue is how long can you hold on? Okay. Who would, like next year, there will be another batch coming up. Would you ask them to wait also? And this goes on. I think that's my point. Either you have to take all the precautions. I think that NTA or NEET, they should all take the proper precautions, social distancing, try to minimize the interaction, take all the precautions. And then hopefully none of the students have to suffer. See that this is what I think. See, we are here in IIT Bombay. We always try to see that the students should be their, interest is the supreme. And let's think about them and see that, they have a life to live. They are just too young right now. And we don't want to, hit them hard in the formative phases of their life. I think that's where I would say that I would be very hesitant to support any kind of stoppage because there is no end in sight. At least I don't see, maybe some doctors or somebody can tell. Then of course I will be happy to wait.
Let me go to one of the other students. Ojas Gupta, you're finally through with us. Ojas, you tell us which part of the country are you from? Do you want the exams or not?
I'm from Delhi. Yes, I'm from Delhi, and yes, I am in favor of giving exam. See, exam basically what happens is up till when, how long we can postpone the exams, right? At some point of time, we need to give them, right? And if the exam is further delayed, then next year there is another batch that is waiting to give that exam, right? And if somehow we declare this as zero academic year, the next year the competition will be or more high. So the further delay of this examination, I guess, is not the only solution. I know there are some situations, there are some conditions in different parts of India where where the students face difficulties, will be facing difficulties. But I guess that for certain students, we cannot risk the career and the future of the whole.
So there is a clear divide emerging among the students. We will try and get you more views among the of the students. We've heard two views, and as you can see, there are a number of students who have written into us who have different personal stories, and many of them, as I said, are students who want to travel hundreds of kilometers and therefore are worried about their futures. One can only hope, and we will continue with this campaign in the next few days to try and understand more and more voices and their concerns. I think every student is a citizen of this country and therefore deserves a right to be heard. And I think that's all that they're asking for, that they be heard, their concerns be heard. I thank you all very much for joining us. Hong Kong has reported the first confirmed case of a COVID reinfection. A healthy man in his 30s contracted the infection 4.5 months after recovering from the disease. Researchers at the University of Hong Kong now have used a genomic sequence analysis to conclude that he was infected by 2 different strains. Scientists say people infected with COVID-19 do develop an immune response system which protects them from contracting the virus again. But it remains unclear as to how long the immunity lasts. The World Health Organization has warned against jumping to conclusions based on the case, though, of one patient. Joining me now is Dr. Kelvin Kai Wang To. He is from the University of Hong Kong and he joins me on the show at the moment. Your research, Dr. To, has pointed towards the first documented instance of reinfection. It sparked off fears that there could be many such cases out there. Is this just the tip of the iceberg, that I recover from COVID and possibly get reinfected by a different strain a few months later?
So thank you for your question. First of all, I don't think reinfection should cause a panic in the public. I believe that we found the first case of reinfection, and I believe there is probably more reinfections out in other places. But for example, in our case, the patient did not have any symptoms at all during the second infection. So one possibility is that patients who have the second infection may be milder than the first one. And so I think for the general public, we should not be panicking about this reinfection. But the importance of our finding is that we have to realize that patients who have recovered from COVID should not be thinking that they will never get infected again. So I think there's the first point. And second, so they should still practice social distancing measures and wear masks. if they in order not to transmit viruses to others. So I think this is the point.
But what happens, doctor, then to the whole notion of immunity? When, let's say, a few months from now, we get a vaccine, I take the vaccination. Is the vaccination going to be the guarantee against reinfection?
So first, we have to know that the immunity from vaccine is very different from natural infection. So in the recent vaccine studies, the antibody titer and the cell immunity is actually very good, even after a few months. So we are not certain yet, but probably vaccine can induce a better protection than natural immunity. But at the moment, we don't know how good our vaccine is protecting us from getting infection. The results should be out in a few months with all the phase 3 clinical trials. So that's the first point. And secondly, we don't know the duration of immunity after vaccine. And these data will be coming out in the near future. So because right now, even the earliest vaccines that have undergone trial is only a few months. So we don't have long-term data yet. So for vaccine studies, long-term data is very important.
Dr. To, appreciate your joining us. You've told us there is no need to panic, which is important. Thanks very much for joining me. Let me turn from there to our good news today's story. A Hyderabad maths prodigy has emerged as the fastest human calculator in the world and won a gold in the Mental Calculation World Championships at the Mindsport Olympiad in London. Let's look at the story of this incredible man. Take a look.
Give me a two-digit number, I'm going to square it for you. 22, 484, 17, 4900.
How do you do this? Meets the world's fastest human calculator. Neelkant Bhanu Prakash is a human computer. The 20-year-old math prodigy from Hyderabad, a graduate from St. Stephen's College in Delhi, who's won the first ever gold for India in the Mental Calculation World Championship at Mindsports Olympiad in London.
The numbers are 7972 and 8734.
He beats 30 participants from 13 countries to the title.
7448. I've won the first gold medal for being the fastest human calculator by this competition, Mindsports Olympics, which was held in London. It is a pride that I today hold the records which were once held by math maestros like Scott Flansburgh and our very lovely Shakuntala Devi.
Bhanu Prakash fell in love with numbers at a very young age of 5. That is when he enrolled for an abacus program where he honed his skills and went on to win several titles. Bhanu Prakash now holds 4 world records and 50 Limca Book of Records. He now wants to take away the fear of math from among school kids.
I would like to take this opportunity to tell people that mental calculation as an Olympic sport has been recognized, has been looked into, and the laurel like this, which India never had, which I bring home, will only inspire a lot of more people into taking up this sport and eradicating math phobia.
Bhanu Prakash's startup Exploring Infinities or EI is working with the government of Telangana to help students in government schools. His startup has reached out and engaged with 10,000 school kids in the past couple of years.
97, 194, 291, 388, 485, 582, 679, 776, 873, 970, 1067, 1164, 1261, 1358, 1455. Do it, man. 155.
With Ashish in Hyderabad, Bureau Report, India Today.
A maths wizard, India's very own answer, or Bhanu Prakash is our answer to our very own Shakuntala Devi. Let's leave you with our image of the day. US commentator Tommy Lauren's message for Indian Americans has gone viral. The former TV host has translated the English phrase of being wise like an owl into Hindi for Indian supporters. Take a look. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.
Well, hello to all of my amazing fans in India. It is Tommy Lahren, and I want to thank you guys for supporting the Make America Great Again agenda and the Keep America Great agenda. You know, Trump 2020 is all about keeping America great because President Trump is wise like an owl, or as you guys would say in Hindi, which I hope I'm pronouncing this right, President Trump is wise like an ulu. I hope I said that right. But you guys are on the right track. Let's keep it great. Thanks so much for all the support. Keep it up. God bless you all. Take care.